Donk Nation, Jackson, Janet's greetings and welcome to your daily dose of donkey with Ginger. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, bringing you some nonsensical Steelers talk, but not by myself this week. We got Gingy, we got Steelers news, trades, signings, cuts, and Gingy, you missed the draft recap, so we got to get your view on that. How's it going? How are you feeling about the Pittsburgh Steelers as we stand here today in the early part of May?
Mutant Gingy in the house. Nonsensical. What? Oh, it is very nonsensical this week. Goodbye, George Pickens. I didn't like that at all. I mean, I knew a lot of people called it. A lot of people in the sports media that, you sign Metcalf. Well, there goes Pickens. But, I had just a glimmer of hope, Donkey, that we were having a two viable wide receiver offense and maybe a little bit of excitement this year. But that left my vision pretty quickly this week, Donkey. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we can start on the George Pickens trade on the how I hate it from every aspect. I mean, there's some things said about the kid, but really he seemed like a dude who just wanted the football, wanted to get out there, wanted to do it. A lot of bad press put to him because the Steelers don't deal with wide receivers who want the football, yet the last time we were good is because we had a wide receiver who wanted the football. And for all you who are whining and complaining that whining's bad for the team, you do realize DK Metcalf did that in Seattle, right? I live close enough that I get all the Seattle post and pregame stuff. If you think what George Pickens did was a distraction and a cancer, then I don't understand how you like DK Metcalf, because they're very similar players. Guys who get personal fouls because they get too into the game and want to punch people. That is DK Metcalf. Guys who ask for the football and yell at their quarterback and slam stuff on the sideline. That is DK Metcalf. So I don't understand the hate for George Pickens and the love for DK Metcalf at the same time. So I really don't understand that part, Gingy. You could have two dogs for the same bone, as you said. I think that's a huge loss. But Gingy, this is my bigger complaint. DK Metcalf, George Pickens, very similar wide receivers, very similar production numbers. The Steelers get a third for theirs, and they trade a second after they gave up $1 jillion for that second to be signed. We clearly didn't get value for George Pickens because we just showed in the offseason what we think a receiver of his skill set is worth on the trade market. I hate it from every aspect, from the football aspect where we're going to be a boring running team again, to the value aspect where we got less than we gave up to get a similar type of player, to just, honestly, if you listen to Lake Calvin Austin talk, to the personnel area where he was like, it seems the pseudo leader in that wide receiver room. I struggle to see a single positive from this trade outcome.
Yeah, I would have liked to see the guests get more value for the guy for sure. Definitely think he was worth more. I don't know, Donkey. It's about locker rooms and chemistry when you're trying to put together a team, and I don't know, maybe they knew something we didn't right off the bat about how that bringing in Metcalf was going to affect Pickens and
too much personality for Mike Tomlin to handle.
Most likely is what I would say. I mean, there was quite a bit of personality there, Donkey. I understand that you're highlighting some good points, but we've seen some low points, and guys who give up on play on the field they don't make it in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? And we've seen them do that once or twice. Now, I understand it was over the ball issue, but we did have a bad quarterback. Could not deliver the guy the ball. I hope the best for him, though, to be honest. I hope he goes to Dallas and just works with Dak and blows up. That would be great. Get him out of the AFC.
That is a system for him to absolutely thrive in. And then think about this. He's going to get a bunch of one-on-one opportunities with CeeDee Lamb there taken up. CeeDee Lamb is what? Top 10 wide receiver? You put Pickens beside a CeeDee Lamb. If he doesn't blow up this year, it proves the Steelers were absolutely right and I'm dumb and I shouldn't be talking about any of this stuff because clearly I know nothing about nothing, right? But he's going to a great situation for him. I wish him nothing but the best because to me, he never was anything but I won't say he wasn't a little bit of a prima donna, but that's what wide receivers are nowadays. If you follow a team you're going to have all these same stories. I mean, DK Metcalf had these stories in Seattle. Jordan Addison, all the wide receivers you want to name, even Justin Jefferson's been seen wanting the ball. That's just what you got to deal with these guys. It didn't seem like he was an overly bad personality outside of that. I mean, there's the alleged late for a game thing, but the Steelers didn't bench him. The Steelers didn't find him. So there's really no proof other than someone said they thought he was late. Like, it's just a rumor. There's no substantial to any of the actual things that would bother me. He's never went out and punched somebody. He's never spit on somebody. He doesn't touch masseuses in the wrong way. I think he was a personality that this team really should have kept, for the reason being it could have actually had a wide receiver room that made this team functional in the modern NFL, Gingy. And Robert Woods signing is not the answer. Gabe Davis isn't going to be the answer. Amari Cooper, if he learns how to catch the ball, maybe. And then you have Keenan Allen. Like those are the three guys available. And Woods, of course, the guy the Steelers brought in. I just don't see how we're competent unless Roman Wilson somehow turns out to be a super stud. But sorry if I don't believe in a 5'10" dude who couldn't stay healthy his whole rookie year to stay healthy, Gingy.
Yeah, we're probably just creating room on the roster for Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb, would be my guess.
So we can be the Jets?
You know, you heard it here first, Donkey. Don't think I like it. I didn't say it because I like it.
Gingy, I will say this. With the draft and the DK Metcalf trade and the signing of Darius Slay, I feel like this team was looking like a rebuild with the draft they had, Gingy. What do you think about that? How do you think about the players coming in? I know we talked last time you were on about, I think we had Harmon's pick done by then and Johnson, right? So we had Harmon and Johnson by then. What do you think of the second half of the Steelers draft?
Got some guys from Ohio State national champions. A couple pair of Wilson and Sawyer, I believe, right?
Will Howard. Yeah,
Howard. Excuse me.
Quarterback.
Howard. Excuse me. Yep. Quarterback, outside linebacker. Thought those pair were pretty good pickup in the late round. Guys have winning cultures. Whatever. Seem like Steeler guys. I don't know, Donkey.
Quarterbacks with average play, yeah, he does.
What really amazed me the most was the lack of an offensive lineman anywhere in any of those picks.
That's why I said it looks like we're rebuilding here, Gingy. I mean, putting faith in Broderick Jones and Troy Fontanu, another guy with an injury past who hasn't proven he's been healthy. Absolutely no depth on the inside of the line, the outside of the line. It just really feels like the Steelers are just kind of seeing what happens this year, loading up, and maybe making a move for next year. And, if things go right, it could be, woohoo, good for the Steelers if things go right. But if things go wrong, they've built up ready for the next step in a rebuild starting next year, which I've said for a long time I wanted them to do. However, Gingy, there's one person still out there who, if the Steelers decide to bring in, I will hate this offseason. Because if we're rebuilding, I don't mind trading George Pickens. If we're rebuilding, I think the draft was pretty solid. Not spectacular, but pretty solid. But Gingy, there is one guy, if he is brought in, will absolutely make me hate what the Pittsburgh Steelers did this offseason. And you know who that would be?
Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly, because how the hell can you bring in Aaron Rodgers to a team that looks like it's on full rebuild? What it will be is the Steelers being 10-7 again, uncompetitive, and then not being in a spot where they're able to upgrade the team come 2026. Unless, I will say this, and I said it before, I do think Aaron Rodgers, out of all the quarterbacks who are available this offseason, is the one guy who could potentially catch lightning in a bottle. And I still will say this, if we sign him, at least this year is going to be entertaining, Gingy. I will have a good time watching that show happen.
But it's still mortgage in the future. Really, it is. I mean, you could do a rebuild with Mason Rudolph. He knows the system. Even if we are talking about not tanking, okay, so maybe Mike Tomlin goes right 8-9 instead of 9-8. So
if this roster, as constructed, wins 9 games with Mason Rudolph, I think that puts you in a great spot to add a couple more weapons and take the next step. Because if Mason Rudolph with this current roster can win you 9 games, we'll say 9, I'll say 9. If Mason Rudolph is a winning quarterback with this roster, I think you have to be willing to go all in with him, right? Now, notwithstanding saying something crazy happens where this defense all of a sudden becomes super elite and the offense holds us back. But let's say very similar defensive stats, and Mason Rudolph gets us to that 9-win plateau. Let's say averages, 20, 21 points a game?
Sure. That'd be great, actually, if he did.
No kidding, right? Super upgrade. But Gingy, it does not feel like that's what Mike Tomlin's about. It really feels like Rodgers or, heaven forbid, Kirk Cousins is going to end up in black and gold. Especially when you look at our quarterback room, and no offense to Will Howard here, but he was a 6th-rounder for a reason. And that doesn't mean he can't become something special. Tom Brady probably looking at me right now like, you better damn say that, right? But Skylar Thompson right now is the backup quarterback. Did you ever watch any of the games that dude played in Miami? Yeah, just no, okay? Just no. You remember all those Browns quarterbacks we used to make fun of? Ty Detmer and all those type of guys, right?
Whoa. Who's making fun of Ty Detmer?
He would make them look like John Elway. Is what I'm saying.
Ty Detmer would punish you in the game 1-on-1.
I just said he would look like John Elway if compared to Skylar Thompson, okay? So it was like the most backhanded compliment ever, but no. Sorry, he was really the only name I could think of that fit my parameters for the time.
Right. I get it.
So, Gingy, any thought of any of the other guys, the cornerback kick returner out of Kent State we took, drafting Bruner's son, a kid who was a special teamer in college, drafting Bruner's son to the team, Yah Black from Iowa, big. They said they were going to play him at end, but clearly they're going to play him at nose tackle after cutting Montravis Adams. He's like 6'5", 340-ish. Any thoughts on any of those guys?
That's crazy. Drafting Bruner's son. What a great player he was. Good blocker.
Yeah, he made my top 5 tight ends list. Let's go.
Absolutely, let's go. But, I don't know. Late round picks, Donkey. We'll see if they pan out. I never put too much stock in that.
That's absolutely fair. Other big off-season things. What you feel of the releasing of Montravis Adams and, of course, Ryan Watts getting medically retired? He's a 6th-round pick from Texas last year. Hurt his neck on the final preseason game. Getting medically retired. But Montravis Adams, a guy who has been a starter here, has shown the ability to play inside pretty well, was our rotation piece last year. Are you a little surprised that they instantly moved on from him before any type of camp started?
They must really have a lot vested in the draft pick. Do they think he's going to play immediately?
Your guess is as good as mine on that, man. I'm trying.
They must, right?
That's what
that would indicate to me, is that he's game ready.
I will tell you right now, if they're planning on that, we're in big trouble. Now, we did add some other depth pieces through the offseason of NFL guys who have started in the past. There's a couple at nose. We brought in the guy from New England at end. So it's not like we don't have guys there. But I was just surprised that Adams, who's been a big-time contributor for us, didn't even make it to camp. That's what kind of threw me the most.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's kind of odd. I mean, we've seen a lot of him, and he's performed well at times. So they must know something we don't.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we're going to hear about an injury or something later that came out. It just wasn't released on the day of. Any of the, I don't know if you looked at the undrafted free agents or any of the tryout players. Any of them catch your eye?
No eye catching there, Donkey. We'll see it all. We'll see it all in the preseason. We'll see who makes it through.
I'll tell you, they brought in one guy on a tryout, a veteran tryout to rookie camp that I have my eye on because I liked him coming out of the draft 3 years ago. It was a 3rd or 4th round pick by San Francisco. played his college ball at Ohio State. That's Trey Sermon, the running back. They brought him into the rookie camp as a tryout player. He's a guy who very much fits that Caleb Johnson, our third round pick, that Najee Harris type of run, Chubba Hubbard, if you want guys from other systems. He very much fits that. I know he had an injury. I don't know if his speed is back, but he could be a very curious one to watch out for if his speed did come back to what it was pre injury. He's a guy who might sneak into this roster.
You heard it here, folks. Donkey, I'll take your word for it, but I don't know, though. We're looking at. Oh, man. I was so much more excited the last time we spoke about the Steelers. I'm just not going to lie to you. I mean, offense, right? It's just not Pickens. I'm just not in love with George Pickens individually.
No, it's
just
what it
offense.
Represents, though, right? It's
absolutely is what it represents. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say, because you know my stance. You actually sound like more of a Pickens fan than I am. Like I said, I wish no ill will against him. Hope he kills it in Dallas, but he was a problem at times. But at the same time, it's just it's the death of the offense. I mean, like, and not even like. Okay, it's not like we're going to see, Gainwell and Warren just completely fall over themselves. Let's hope not anyway. Cross our fingers.
Let's hope Warren can regain what he was 2 years ago and not be the back he was last year.
That would be great. But, it's just that it's the type of offense that we're leaning towards. You know what I'm talking about. And
65% run, boring as hell.
Yeah, where we want to win a game 15 to 12 or something.
Yep.
Yeah, 13 to 10 or something like that. I mean,
don't score 20 points. 20 points are scary.
That's just not modern football right now.
You don't win that way.
To win that way, you have to have a defense at such a caliber of dominance that I don't know if you can put together in today's NFL.
Look at the teams that win that way nowadays. Even they're not built that way. Look at Philadelphia, man. They have 2 elite wide receivers on the outside and probably last year's best running back in the league in Saquon Barkley, right? Look at Baltimore. They have, 3 first-round picks at wide receiver on that team to go with Derrick Henry? I mean, you can say what you want about Rashad Bateman, but he was a first-round pick. You can say what you want about Drops Mahomes, who every time he gets to the playoff game, I can't think of his name. Their little guy they got from Boston College, Zay Flowers, but he was a first-round pick. You have to have at least 2 talented outside receivers in the modern NFL I'm not going to say to win football games, but to be competitive within your conference, right? And for the first time in a long time, we felt like we had it, man. You can say what you want. Put on that tape and tell me, dude, George Pickens is not an absolute freak. Like, I'm not saying he's a good character. I'm not saying he tries hard. I'm not saying he's everything I would want. But, man, that dude's athleticism and ability to catch the ball were fun to watch when he was a Steeler, Gingy. You have to admit that.
Absolutely. It was exciting. Again, he had the potential to score a touchdown on any play. Mm-hmm. And the defense knew it too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like I said, I'm not super pumped about just what the loss of a solid wide receiver. We're just back in the same position as last year. You started the show talking about, are we the same team as last year? Says Donkey. Golly, it's making me mad, Donkey, even thinking about
hearing
you
the sad
that.
part is, our offensive line is actually less deep than it was last year. Because remember, last year we lost 3 starters on that offensive line and had backups have to replace them. Because Fontanu was the starter over Broderick Jones. James Daniel was the starter at right guard. And Herbig was the starter at center. We had 3 backups have to play all last year. The thing is, those backups are now the starters, and for the most part, every one of them has earned it, although Broderick Jones I'm not so sure about, and Mason McCormick, I would have preferred to see competition for him. I love the pick. I love the kid. I've been on his bandwagon, but I thought he was 2-3 years developed. Maybe it got jump-started from a full year of starting. That's cool. Frazier's clearly NFL caliber. He was the backup at center. That's now the starter. But the problem is, dude, Broderick Jones is now guaranteed the starting job at left tackle unless he sucks. And if he sucks, man, I've seen what's behind him. Dude, as a run-first football team, I'm a little bit concerned by the lack of want in the building of the offensive line.
Yeah, we've lost some real key pieces. James Daniels is a big loss there for sure, in my opinion.
For sure, he was the
I can't
leader of
believe
that line. Our running game got a lot worse after his injury. Now, of course, everyone's going to say, but that's when Justin Fields got benched. Yeah, but the offensive line average push got worse after the Justin Fields thing. Justin Fields doesn't make the offensive line push better. James Daniels did. First off, go ahead, Gingy.
Oh, I agree. I don't think we have anything to replace it, anything to counter it. In that area, we clearly got worse. Probably split at wide receiver, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, that depends.
Running back.
Do you like Robert Woods over Van Jefferson? Like, that's a good debate to have. That's the debate
Six of one,
Steelers
half a
fans
dozen
have
of the other.
Yeah. Do you like your poop sandwich with or without mayo?
Really, it's the same. Exactly, donkey. And tight end the same. Running back, you can argue got a little bit worse.
Fully agree.
Safety.
However, Gingy, I will say this.
Split. I don't know.
Caleb
Donkey,
Johnson might be more explosive than Najee. Might be. I don't think he will be. I think they're very similar guys. But if Caleb Johnson shows that little bit of explosiveness, that ability to get the over 40-yard run, it will be improved. I won't lie.
That's fine.
Now, here's the thing.
Split, though.
I will say,
improvement.
I think Caleb Johnson fits the zone type of scheme that Arthur Smith likes to run a lot better than Najee Harris did. So running back might be the one spot I would say this team is clearly improved, right?
Okay. I mean, even if you give you that, okay, so that's not, what is that? Just a massive split on offense? Because probably downgrade at quarterback, unless you think that Mason Rudolph is better than the two we had last year.
That's a wash to me. That's a lot of those bottom end starters. I don't care which one you pick. I think Justin Fields would have been the best choice of the three, he clearly is not a good passer of the football. He wasn't last year.
Yikes.
Russell Wilson throws a pretty deep ball, right, but sucks at intermediate routes. Mason also throws a pretty deep ball, but he's less athletic than Russell, but he doesn't run into as many sacks. He just kind of stands there and takes the sacks.
Oof.
So, I mean, it's a wash there. I'll say tight ends this year I just think are going to be worse purely on the fact Pat Freiermuth actually stayed healthy for once all last year. That shit never happens. I'm not banking on that again.
Right. Yeah. No, so the offense is overall wash.
I would say wash to negative, yeah. It's like on that wash leaning negative side, right?
No, that's not what we're looking for, donkey.
No. We still have Boswell, though. I mean, if you really want to talk what the offense was, it really hasn't changed because it's still Chris Boswell.
Whatever, donkey.
That just made you sad, but you know it's true. You know it's true.
Whatever.
How many games? Hold on. Were there any games the Steelers had where Chris Boswell was not the leading scorer on the football team?
Just stop it. Just stop it. It's not the time for this, donkey. Just stop it.
This is the perfect time for it. It is time to be nonsensical. This is what we need to talk about.
Right. This isn't nonsensical, though. This is serious business that you're discussing, all right? And this is not really leaving in our favor. Serious business.
Gingy, I got a serious question. 2/3 of the Pittsburgh major sports teams have lost their coach this year. Is the 1/3 that kept their coach making the right decision? I mean, we saw an early firing to Derek Shelton. We saw Mike Sullivan get fired by them and then get the richest coaching contract hired by the Rangers, I think. Do you think the Steelers did it right being the only one to keep their coach? Yes or no? No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yes.
All right, Gingy. I can respect it. Question two,
Gingy. I like consistency. Okay, go ahead.
Was George Pickens traded because he did not fit with Mike Tomlin?
Yes.
Okay. Now go on your consistency.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a consistently type of guy that you see shipped out of there in Pittsburgh, right? Now you can argue, is it good? Is it bad? It hasn't been working. It hasn't been working, right? It hasn't been working, but I do appreciate the leadership and consistency that's provided there at that position, right? Because fear the unknown, whatever else. But are there okay? I'll put it to you this way, Donkey. Are there coaches that we could acquire that would make this infinitely worse? This whole podcast, us talking about the Steelers in general, is there coaches we could acquire? Well,
we could hire Kevin Stefanski.
You see what I'm saying? Okay, but
he beat us in the playoffs, so I'm not even sure about that.
Are there coaches that we could hire that would probably, I think, improve? Because I don't know who's really running. Is that really Mike Tomlin's team? Is he making all those decisions at personnel?
Gingy, let's see what happens in Chicago with Ben Johnson, and then I will tell you whether or not we should have kept Tomlin.
Because
I think that's a fair thing. Yeah, there's no doubt Ben Johnson would have took the Steelers organization in a heartbeat because he knows he could be there for 30 years even if shit goes bad, right?
Right. I agree. So that's
what we should look at because that's the type of hire the Steelers typically would have made. I think Ben Johnson is. Let's see what happens in Chicago with him. All right, and we can come back and be like, "See, Donkey, that's why you need a defensive-minded coach." And you know what I'll say to you? I'll say, "Well, Gingy, you know what? I was definitely wrong there, but still, Mike Tomlin hasn't done shit unless we're raising the Lombardi, in which case I'll be like, Gingy." And I'll be happy as hell. And you can rip on me all you want because I'll still be happy as hell because we got a trophy, right?
Yeah, I mean, before that even happened, didn't Chicago call Pittsburgh looking to provide compensation for Mike Tomlin?
I don't know because hold on. Didn't that come from frickin' Matthew? I don't know shit about shit Barry. Don't ever.
Why do you speak so disrespectfully about Matthew Barry?
Dude, this dude's the dumbest dumbass I've ever heard in my life, man. He takes a poop, has an idea, and then says, an unnamed NFL source told me my poop is purple. Like, I don't know if my mic caught me making a little fart noise, but that's all that is. Okay, Matthew Barry's just a pile of garbage.
That's pile of garbage. Well, yeah, if it came from there, Donkey, it might be questionable then, eh?
Isn't Matthew Barry the one who said the Steelers are trying to move up in the draft to draft Shedeur Sanders because they love him so much, right? That's the same guy we're talking about, right? Shedeur who fell, to the 4th, 5th, 6th round? I don't even remember at this point.
Shedeur who?
What? Hey, all those talking heads said the Steelers were trying to figure out who to trade up with to draft him. Don't forget that, okay? That's why these dudes, until they start naming sources, man, none of them are worth their grain in anything because they just say whatever the hell they think when they're pooping, and you can tell because that's what comes out their mouth. Or their fingers, since they don't even say it anymore. They just tweet it.
They're entertainers, Donkey.
Clickbait!
Yeah.
They're the type of entertainers that, instead of getting happy when you hear the music, they're the type of entertainers that make you go, when you hear it, okay?
Yeah. Is that how you feel about Stephen A. Smith?
No, because he's just a troll, and if you think he's anything other than a troll, you're wrong. And dude, trolls are funny. I'm sorry, I'm that guy that enjoys trolls. I enjoy trolls. They're hilarious.
I was gonna say it's like a Skip Bayless type of personality.
Okay, I hate Skip Bayless because he's just, I don't know, he just comes off as more pompous. He is, but he's like more pompous, man. All right, there's a lack of it, okay? When you're trolling, it has to be kind of obvious, not just being pompous. There is a line in the dirt the donkey will not pass, and it's Skip Bayless.
Okay, I'll live with that.
This has definitely gone off the rocker here.
Nonsensical.
Somehow we ended up talking about sports reporters here. Gingy, I'm not trying to be funny about this, but tell me a better summation of the last 5 years being a Pittsburgh sports fan, then that dude jumping up to celebrate, thinking things are going well in Pittsburgh, and then flipping over the Clemente wall.
Whoa.
Like that's a summation, right? Just those Steelers fandom or Pittsburgh fandom the last 5 years. Just when you think there might be a little bit of hope, you crash down pretty 21 feet to the ground, right?
Yikes, that's pretty brutal, but I get what you're saying.
I don't even know where we go from here, Gingy. Gingy, anything else Steelers related before we get to a list or something on that line?
Yeah, nope. Pretty alright with it.
Okay. Then, last week I did the list of the best stadium foods, my top 3. Gingy, give me your go-to stadium food when you go to Heinz Field. Excuse me, when you went to Heinz Field or go to Acrisure Stadium. I did that last week too, dude. I called it Heinz Field when I talked about food.
Are we going like 5 to 1? Or are we just going like top
Just
3?
name your favorite stadium foods when you go there. The things you must have or used to must have. Because for me, I went on a little bit of a throwback. To me, I'll tell you, I did my top 3. I did Quaker Steak and Lube wings, the original ones at the stadium when Quaker Steak and Lube was still awesome. I did Permanis, and I have to have the classic nachos with nacho cheese and jalapeno peppers. Those were my top 3.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna tell nachos probably at number 3 with the cheese. We're thinking barbecue. Number 2, barbecue pulled pork nachos signature. I can't remember what the place is called. Dang, they're so good though. Very, very good. Barbecue pulled pork nachos.
And to top it, or was that the top?
What's that now?
Do you have a number 1, or was that number 1 and I was just not paying attention?
That's number 1. That's all I got to say.
All right, that's fair enough.
Nachos are banger.
Gingy, though, we have to go with a new list this week, and I want to go. We'll get back into players list a little more when we're talking player stuff and not being super nonsensical. We have to go all-time top 2 Pittsburgh Steeler hats. I will start. My number 2 is the old school, like 1990s, crisp white hat, black bill, solid logo in the middle. That's my number 2. Gingy, top 2 hats.
Whew.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Ginger's gonna be like, you know them old school winter hats with the like fake chin strap under your underneath to keep your ears warm?
Yeah, since we're talking, I like the number 2 would probably be Steelers camo ball cap.
Okay.
Like that green and digi camo type of ball cap.
With the black embedded logo that just barely sticks out.
Yep.
Right, I hear you. Dude, my number 1 is without a doubt 1999. You remember the lightning bolt, bright colored starter Steelers cap?
Yeah, I do.
Without a doubt, my favorite Pittsburgh Steelers hat of all time. Dude, that thing was tight.
Number 1, Jerome Bettis stocking cap. Big stocking cap in the middle of the wintertime, running people over. My favorite looking hat.
I could dig it. I could dig that for sure. All right, so that's our Steelers talk for the week. I guess it's a shout-out time. Gingy doesn't do shout-outs ever, but you know what?
I'm interested.
I will. I'm going to give a shout-out to all these kids that are trying to fulfill their dreams of making an NFL roster this week at Steelers rookie minicamp. Shout-out to all of them. And here's the hope that a few of you can just be the next set of stars to lead this team to the promised land. That's how I'm going to let you know that I'm the Viking Donkey. That's Viking_Donkey on Twitch and Twitter. Your Daily Dose Donkey Gingers, where you get all this awesome nonsensical talk. Hopefully Gingy's back next week. Hopefully we get to keep going off on random tangents that I have no idea how the hell we got there. But Gingy, you got to let him know.
Mutant Gingy in the house. It's fine, Donkey. Everything's fine.
Burning dog emoji.
Or is it? Dun, dun, dun. Wave him if you got him. Here we go.